Yes.
Gerwin.
Yes.
Heath.
Yes.
Level.
Yes.
Schaefer. Runyon.
Yes.
Okay, you have the agenda before you. Is there any additions or corrections?
Motion to approve.
Dave?
Second.
Steve, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so, the minutes are attached, but it's not on the agenda, so we're just gonna do them next month. So we'll go on down to business to come before the committee, and, Ginger will talk about the ADA coordinator.
Okay, under the American Disabilities Act, we as a government agency are supposed to have, under section 25, designation of a responsible person. Any public entity that has more than 50 full-time employees is to have a designated person to be the ADA coordinator. It also says that we have to have a complaint procedure in place. So Alina and I, we kind of got some samples and got some information about the coordinator and what is required, put together a notice and a grievance procedure and a grievance form, which the elections committee has approved. What this committee is needing to do is designate that coordinator. In the past, we believe that Doug Saxton took care of that when the nursing home was in business or in operation, and since then, there hasn't been a designated person. Alina's been handling a lot of the ADA issues and the things that come up, but nothing in an actual policy, nothing with a phone number or an address or anything for the public to contact a designated person. What we kind of talked about was a point of contact. For instance, if the committee named Alina, then a personnel issue come up, then she would forward that on to me. If it was something that dealt with the grounds, she would forward that on to Don Burden. Just that person of contact would be designated and then distributed throughout the county for whomever needed to take care of the issue.
This is something that Alina's already kind of been doing anyway, right?
Pretty much when there's complaints that come in, I would be the one
I mean,
who would handle them.
we're not gonna be tacking more work on you that you're not already doing, is what I guess what I'm.
No, not really.
I mean, how many calls do you get, you know?
Correction.
Well, it doesn't really happen like a whole lot, but we have gotten this year, but it was the elevator out front, so probably 20 calls on that from 3 individuals. So,
Okay.
not a whole lot.
Is there any possibility this would be something the state's attorney's office would be interested in, one of their attorneys being the coordinator?
I asked for volunteers at our,
You made no mistake.
Managers meeting.
Remember, this has been recorded.
and ironically enough, I didn't get any.
Nobody wants that.
No, we do
Out of
have
seriousness,
we do actually consult with the state's attorney's office regularly on our actions and our
Right.
responses. All of our responses are generally reviewed by them. So even though they may not be the point of contact, they still have interaction with us,
Right.
and they still have to review anything before we release it.
Well, that's why I figured, just cut out the middle person and go right to them, because they're the ones that usually are gonna be involved in the legalities. Did Randy, has he been approached as far as?
I didn't come out and ask him whether or not he would be open to that or not, just because, like we had said, we have been doing it in the office and everything is working out okay. But, I mean, I can ask him if we want. I hadn't actually thought about it, to be honest with you.
And just hate for you to put more on yourself,
Yeah.
if there's someone, because most of these cases seem to end up as being some kind of legality that we're gonna end up
Yeah.
contacting the state's attorney's office.
The only thing is, and And the reason why, one of the other reasons why I thought it would be a good, fit has to do with some of the other roles that they take. And that has to do with self-evaluation of our buildings, and so that wouldn't be something that would fall under, the state's attorney's office at all. But I would see myself working with maintenance and maybe a contractor to do that kind of thing, not something we would want to do internally, so.
Just a thought.
Yeah, and it does say, like, in there, in all the regulations, it says ADA coordinator or their representative. So anytime that it does not fit, like, under something that I can handle, it would be divided out.
What else does the statute say? Does it designate any other duties? Like you said, no, I was gonna ask you, my next question was, do they have to do, what do they have to do? Do they have to go to training? Do they have to?
They don't have to go to training, but it does have recommendations on what we should do. Do you wanna go through them, or do you?
Well, the piece that I have here says the designation of a responsible employee and the adoption of a grievance process. That's under subsection 35.107. And it basically just says you need to have these things in place. It doesn't really have the additional duties that would you like to read the policy?
Sure. So this has been adopted by elections, right?
Right, and it's gonna go to the full board.
And the statute, what I was wondering is if the statute puts any other obligations on us,
Okay.
monetarily or
Nope, it does not.
timelines or anything like that?
Well, we should have had this person in place. It just says that you shall have one if you have over 50 employees, so we should have one.
And the grievance procedures, that has specific time, so
When things have to be
when
done.
things have to, yeah.
Okay.
We have so many days after the complaint is received to get a response back. They have so many days after the response to see if it's satisfactory. We've got so many days to send that on to the next step. I mean, those types of limitations are in there.
So does it say we have to fix it at the end of that process?
No, it does not.
It sounds to me like this is something that Lena's been doing anyway, and she does, it sounds to me, correct me if I'm wrong, that you don't have a problem with continuing doing it. So, I think it seems to be working, might as well not, don't fix it if it's not broken, so.
Is that a motion?
Is that a motion?
Yeah, no. Make a motion that we
Okay.
appoint Elena as the,
Do I hear a second?
I'll say.
Okay, Dave?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Do you guys want this as an action item or on the consent agenda?
Oh, just probably the consent agenda.
I would think so.
It's up to you
Well,
guys.
something that the public is interested in. For what it's worth. I mean, we had visitors on the issue, so I don't have a strong feeling about it, actually.
What'd you say, Dave? What was your opinion?
I was figuring, yeah, the consent agenda would be fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's why I was asking.
You could just report it.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, the other item is the update on the early retirement incentive. And Carolyn actually asked for this information. This does have names on it, so I would appreciate it if it was returned. I don't know how many I can remember there. The top sheet is the original analysis that Linda put together. And it shows the different people who took the early retirement, the replacements, the difference in the salaries and how that all calculates down through the savings for the insurance of the 3 positions that were not filled, the savings on IMRF, and FICA and FICA Med, and you can see that came out to $348,141.25 per year. When the circuit clerk's office came to the finance committee and asked to have her person that was on the attrition list to begin with, give her the permission to reinstate that position, Carolyn reached out and asked what the impact of that was going to be. So the second sheet shows, it just barely highlighted in the copies. The second one down from the top, the person that left was at $28,646. The person that came in was at $22,912. So you can see that there's still a savings there, as well as Chuck's position. He was allowed to have a part-time 10 hours a week position. That's down towards the bottom. With those two changes, it brings your savings for 1 year to $305,908.
We lost $43,000.
Now, some of that is the Social Security and IMRF impact. Some of that has to deal with the full-time position in the circuit clerk's office. There's the health insurance that's added back into that. And Alina, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that Leanne still has in the back of her mind that she will honor that attrition person, but just as soon as she can get her office back into order.
So it will still pay for itself in 3.5 years.
Yeah,
Just over 3 years it'll pay for itself.
right.
Thank you for doing this.
Helps us see the impact of our
Decisions.
Want these back, Lee?
Yeah, I think.
Yes, please.
No, that's a good job, thank you.
Yeah.
Very good.
And if you would like this analysis, I'll black out the names and email it to you. I don't have a problem with that, I just didn't want the information
Right,
floating around,
it's
Good.
since it has
So it's got the names on it, you don't wanna let that get out.
And I know we kind of updated this in May after 1 year of the HRA and where those balances were. This is to date. We started with $720,000 and we have dispersed $187,500 in a little over a year's time. So they are definitely using the health reimbursement.
Good.
That's good.
So it's, there are some that are using it much faster than others, but it's still depleting and it's being used, so.
Good.
Okay, is there any other questions for Ginger? Or anything? If not, public comment? And John? Linda?
No.
Okay. Motion to
So moved.
Jack? Second. Steve, all in favor?
Aye.